Hello and welcome to the latest in a series of Vanilla Plus Quickfire interviews. I'm George Malin, the managing editor of Vanilla Plus, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jennifer Kyriakakis, the chief marketing officer and co-founder of MATRIXX Software, to explain where the money is in 5G. Hi Jennifer, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Yeah, really well, thanks. Okay, so let's dive straight in. After all, it's a quickfire interview. So without me getting too much like Tom Cruise in Cherry Maguire and shouting, "Show me the money," I'll start by asking, where is the money in 5G?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I would argue that the money has always been there, right? Even with 4G networks. For digital disruptors, digital pioneers that really understood that you had to start engaging the customer on their terms, and give them, transparency, choice, control, but put all of that in the palm of their hand through an app or through a digital channel. And that's what's really necessary to start monetizing 5G. When we look at what's going on in the industry, you really have a rapid demographic shift to very digitally savvy customers. You have 5G networks rolling out, which will open up new opportunities across consumer, enterprise, and IoT. But you also have this need to re-engineer the cost to serve economics, which is at the heart of all the digital transformation efforts that are going on now. So if you can bring those things together, then you really have a huge monetization offering, and commercial teams are going to be, have a whole raft of things they can do to really up their game. So when we look at 5G, we see really what we call 6 monetization levers. So there's bandwidth, there's latency, there's quality of service, capacity, network slicing, and spectrum. And all of those levers are going to allow commercial teams to basically recast their strategies. So it's really a kind of a marketer's dream when you think about being able to make a radical shift across what we call the 4 Ps of marketing. So product, place, price, and promotion. So you think about product, and 5G it's an order of magnitude more powerful than 4G. So it's going to enable a lot of new products, which aren't possible today. You think about place, it gives telcos a lot more flexibility on managing network resources and spinning up capacity where and when it's needed. And it also gives them the ability to market to customers, to engage with customers, to have customers be buying things and self-serving from anywhere, right? So place becomes irrelevant. Promotion, leveraging real-time data, AI, and the speed of engagement to make individualized, meaningful promotions across consumers and enterprises. And then price, again, they have many more value levers to play with, especially within the enterprise offerings. So latency, quality of service, and capacity. So bringing all those things together, I think there's a huge opportunity for monetization.
That's great, excellent. You recently undertook a 5G pricing and positioning study with Strategy Analytics, which we detailed in our recent webinar, which listeners can listen to as well at vanillaplus.com. Please, can you give me a flavor of the findings from that study?
Yeah, sure. So we asked Strategy Analytics to take, it's a qualitative piece of research, but it's 2-sided. So they looked into the views and thoughts on how 5G should be priced and positioned from the telco side, but then they also looked at how it was being perceived from the user side. So they talked to a number of telcos globally, and then they also performed user studies in the US and in the UK. And I think there's probably 3 main things that we really learned from that. And that's from the consumer perception side. If 5G is just simply treated as another G, as faster mobile broadband, that the industry will have missed a huge opportunity to reinvent itself away from just connectivity-centric offerings, specifically within the consumer space. And I think that the next big thing was that from the telco side, because of all the capacity they're gaining with 5G, there's a huge temptation to launch unlimited plans. Which again, it seems like an opportunity to really sort of build market share and capture customers quickly. But it ends up being very much a blunt object by which to do that. And if telcos, fall into that trap for too long, they're going to be stuck in the place again where they don't have the ability to build incremental value off of the network. And then they open themselves up to OTT players and content players really coming in and innovating and monetizing in innovative ways, but leaving them out of that value chain. And then I think the third main thing that was really interesting is that, end users are getting more and more savvy. And so apart from early adopters, device adoption in the form factor of the smartphone won't be as compelling as it was for 4G, right? Because the shift to 4G was really the shift to smartphones. And the shift to 5G, we think, is going to be driven by other form factors that offer better AR and VR capabilities. And so that's what really needs to be compelling. It needs to be really a lifestyle service, or consumers won't move.
Okay, great. So do you think it's possible that 5G can be priced based on the value of the service being delivered rather than just another per megabit metered service that has been the traditional way of the telecoms industry?
Yeah, I think, talking about these 6 monetization levers that I mentioned earlier around bandwidth, latency, quality of service, capacity, that really does open up a new raft of ways to price and charge, so that the metered, the per megabyte meter type of usage doesn't have to be the primary pricing model anymore. I think it'll still exist. It'll still be relevant to certain segments of the market, certain devices. But we see the shift really towards SLA-driven pricing models, and that's going to be much more prominent across the industry. So things like third-party sponsorship models based on QoS, we think will be a big one for the consumer market. And then when you move into things like IoT, really the value of the data that's being transferred between devices will become an interesting way to price those services. But it's really about having that pricing agility to be able to play with all those models and being able to do it in a way that's not cost prohibitive to the business. So being able to, open up an ecosystem model and being able to experiment because you've gone through the digital transformation, you have a much leaner infrastructure and a much different cost to serve.
That's really interesting because these are really different attributes to what telcos used to have. So what do they need to be equipped to take advantage of these new monetization models? And also, I guess there's a role in educating users to accept being charged in different ways. So do those two things kind of go hand in hand to lead us into a transformed way of monetizing 5G?
Yeah, I mean, it's really getting through that digital transformation stage now so that you have a very lean infrastructure and a lot of agility within your business systems to be able to experiment with things. Because I think the commercial teams are going to have to be brave, right? They're going to have to be able to roll things out. And then if they don't work or if consumers don't accept them, to be able to pull them back, to tweak them quickly. So it's having that agility and having that ability to experiment at a very low cost to the business. So that you can find, those right models that different parts of the market are going to be receptive to. Otherwise, if they kind of go on the same operational models that they're on today, sort of very expensive cost to serve, very expensive customer acquisition, then what they'll end up doing is being forced to make a small number of really big bets with high risk that they won't pay off. Instead, they need to be able to create very rich marketplaces where they can surface different types of offers, different types of pricing models very quickly, and then also change them very quickly.
Excellent. What's the single highest priority for telco teams in order to successfully monetize 5G?
Yeah, so we think from a commercial team perspective, it's really this concept of frictionless digital commerce. Right. So the advent of 5G gives them the opportunity to rethink this approach and to build these marketplaces where they can surface offers very quickly. People can buy them very quickly. People don't have to talk to anybody. There's not a 10-step process to sign up for a plan or to change a plan or to anything like that. So it's all that. It's that very frictionless ability to put everything in the hands of the customer and give them that control. And so, what we talk to commercial teams about is really to think big, but start small and act very quickly. It's very crucial to recognize that a really great idea can't wait for a multi-year transformation project to bring it to life, right? So incremental projects that pay dividends every 6 months is the new model that telcos are going after, right? So start small, focus on a small set of customers, a small set of offerings, tune that, get that really right, and then move on to another segment. So, it's a very sort of proven incremental approach to building value and showing, kind of experimenting with the business and showing what works and then growing from there.
Yeah, thank you. final question is, how do you see MATRIXX Software's role in monetizing 5G?
Yeah, so at MATRIXX, we believe our mission is really to empower markets with greater creativity, transparency, and control. So that's a mission that we've been building towards for the past 10 years. And to really execute on that mission, what we did was firstly, we brought a very highly adaptable network-grade digital commerce platform to market. So, I see our role in a few different ways. One, it's providing operators a technology platform on which they can completely reinvent how they market, how they package, how they monetize, and how they deliver products on the 5G network. And then it's that technology platform that enables them to really operate at web speed on a much leaner infrastructure. So, having been on this mission for the past 10 years, we also have a decade of expertise in how to approach digital transformation. So, what the end state or target architecture should be to really monetize 5G across consumer enterprise and IoT. And so we built roadmaps and blueprints on how to transform from really a utility billing operational model into a digital customer engagement and commerce model. So we work with teams on that, and then we also work with the commercial teams on how to ideate in terms of what is the art of the possible in terms of pricing and products and services, and how to concept different offerings for different customer segments, and then very quickly take those from concept into market.
Great. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for sparing the time to speak to us today for this Vanilla Plus Quickfire interview. It's been really interesting. I think we're starting to see how 5G will be monetized, and many of the points that you've made today help sort of point the way ahead for the industry. So thanks again for your time speaking to us.
Thank you.